What's up, Lakers family? Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, locked in from El Segundo to everyone that breathes purple and gold. And tonight I'm going to keep it real and keep it close. Because what's floating across league lines right now is bigger than a quick rumor and quieter than a press conference. The kind of thing that tweaks lineups, cap math, and the temperature of a locker room without anyone turning the lights red. Ride with me from start to finish because I'm going to break down why this conversation even exists. How the calendar and the second apron squeeze front offices into harder choices. What a hungry rebuilding team in the Motor City can put on the table that actually moves our ceiling on day one, what we'd look like the morning after, what we'd risk by standing pat, and only then when the board is set. I'll pull the sheet on the headliner that's been lighting up phones from Detroit to LA. And yes, I'll give you my take with the same honesty I always bring when it's your time to be heard. I'm not spoiling the headline up top because context is leverage, and leverage is what wins you May basketball. Let me start on the floor, where this team lives. The version of our half-court offense that translates across series is a star who bends geometry and a two-guard who reads the second side like a point guard without the label. And the start to this season has been a clinic in that balance. Pace control without panic. Middle pick-and-roll cadence that forces the low man to declare, skip passes on time to the 45, and a steady parade of foul-line trips because feet and hips are playing chess. The scoring spikes aren't empty calories. They're built on paint touches and catch-to-drive decisions that arrive before the defense resets. And the assist stack isn't stat-chasing. It's the byproduct of a player who knows when to hang the dribble, when to snake to the elbow, and when to hit the corner with the outside hand. When the primary engine sits, he doesn't just hold the fort, he sustains identity. Same actions, same pressure points, fewer wasted trips, and that's why the on-off swings are loud. You can call it breakout, I call it ecosystem. And an ecosystem this sturdy makes front offices around the league pick up the phone. Now zoom out to the part nobody wants to talk about in a win streak. The CBA doesn't care about vibes. The second apron is a bouncer who knows your name, and once your number hits, you lose tools. Exceptions shrink. Matching rules get hairier. Aggregation windows and pick mechanics start to bite. And suddenly, we love our guys turns into, we can't add what we need without losing what we are. Our guard is on a deal that made sense the day it was matched. But a player ascending into bona fide top 40 territory is going to decline a modest option and demand a number that reflects production, age, and playoff equity, and that reality, not drama, is why Rival X and Rival Y start asking, would you listen? Any grown-up front office runs two models in parallel. Keep and pay because fit and chemistry are priceless. Or sell high into roster balance if the market throws you a centerpiece you can't draft with your current picks. That's the exact line we're walking right now, and the team on the other end has the right combination of youth, cap space, and urgency to make this more than a fan blog fantasy. Detroit enters with a simple truth. Cade Cunningham needs a secondary driver who can create advantages without hijacking possessions, shoot off movement, and own pockets of the game when the star sits. And a certain Lakers guard checks those boxes with a paint-to-perimeter rhythm coaches drool over. The Pistons can make frameworks that begin with a vertical rim runner who turns every ball screen into a rotation, or they can pivot to a strong, switchable big plus a blue-chip rookie wing and real draft capital, because what you get back determines whether this is a pivot or a punt. If they're serious, they talk Jalen Duren, the kind of lob and glass monster who changes the shot profile on both ends from hour one. If they balk at that crown jewel, you're into Isaiah Stewart for matching, Ron Holland 2 for upside, and picks that aren't training wheels, unprotected or with swaps heavy enough to matter, not the kind that make your February calls end in voicemail. Either way, the thesis on their side is clear. Acquire a made guard with bird rights so they can pay to keep him, professionalize late-game offense, and give Cade a partner who can toggle between on-ball orchestration and off-ball punish. Tactically, I want you to picture what each path does to our film on the very next climb. Duren in. And our Spain pick-and-roll gets teeth because the roll gravity drags two into the lane. The tag is late and the weak side corner blooms. Duren in. And our defense stops leaking second chances, turns blocks into immediate runouts, and lets our wings deny 45 without checking their rearview mirror every possession. Durin in, and the short roll becomes a real decision tree for defenses, with pocket pass to floater, dunk, or spray out. Simple, violent, efficient. Stuart Holland plus picks, and you're talking sturdy minutes. Switch equity, a rookie who could pop, and future ammo to chase the two-way closer we've chased for 3 deadlines. Good business if, and only if, the pick language is real. Because you don't trade creation for depth just to feel busy. But let's not pretend there isn't a cost to the yes column. You are removing late-game craft from the guard spot, the foul-baiting intelligence, the manipulation of the nail, the ability to survive a switch with body and footwork, and asking smaller wings and bench handlers to carry extra creation against playoff-sized defenders. You also change the conversation in tight fourth quarters from dual initiator actions to star-centric P&R with more shooting gravity and less secondary dribble. If the big you receive is elite, the trade-off can be worth it. If he's solid, you've just made your offense easier to guard in a 7-game script. Now put the brakes on the hypotheticals and look at the team we already are. Our 2 guards' numbers at the start of this season haven't just been hot. They've been historic for a player in our jersey stepping into a primary co-creator role. 30-plus points, near double-digit assists, well above average shooting efficiency inside a higher usage context is not a normal month. That matters in the marketplace because the film matches the math. Footwork at the rim, snaking comfort in mid-range, a real catch-and-shoot base that forces hard closeouts, and a handle that keeps the ball alive until help shows its tell. This is the version of him the coaching staff bet on when they carved out more on-ball reps. And it's exactly the version that makes outsiders ask if we'd rather convert elite guard craft into playoff-proof size while the price is at its peak. Again, nothing about that is personal. Everything about that is the CBA. Let's talk rotation reality if Detroit's best offer is the one we've all circled. Swap out Reaves for Durin, and our base lineup shifts into a star-plus vertical 5 nucleus surrounded by shooters who eat on clean looks. In this build, we pick at the paint like a lockpick on every possession, and our defensive identity hardens because the backline has a shot eraser who also inhales rebounds. The playbook doesn't need a rewrite, just an emphasis shift. More delay action into snug screen, more empty corner pick and roll, more Spain with the back screen freeing the roll. The bench units get a different kind of oxygen too. Run, rim, repeat. On the other hand, keep Reaves and you keep one of the league's cleanest 2-man dances intact. Star bends, Reaves punishes, defense rotates, corner 3 drops, rinse and repeat. You also keep a built-in plan B when teams switch your main action. You can throw the ball to a guard who will drive a bent floor and find contact without slowing time. The trade-off there is you still need a front-court answer that plays in May, and those don't come cheap without picks or pain. Here's where I tell you what I'd do, and I'm giving it to you without hedging. If Detroit is actually willing to headline with Jalen Duren and attach real first-round capital, I listen like a grown-up because that's not a bench move, that's a foundation move. You're rebalancing the roster with elite vertical gravity, a glass cleaner who ends possessions, and a defensive pillar who allows our wings to play more honest. With the right pick in the holster, you also keep the flexibility to add a closing wing in February without squeezing the tax till it screams. But if the Pistons come in with Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland II, and pretty picks wrapped in protections that never cash, I hang up and take a walk. You don't move a homegrown creator in his prime for solid plus maybe, and a promise you can't spend when defenses send 2 to the ball in late April. If they won't part with the crown jewel, they pay at the window with the only currency that matters, unprotected future or heavy swap control. So we can flip assets for a 2-way closer later. Otherwise, we roll with what we built and dare the West to solve it. Since this is Lakers News Fan Report, let me go deeper into game plan soil because I know you want more than front office theater. With Duren, we would tighten our rules in pick-and-roll coverage, more drop with comfort because the backline recovers, more weak side stunts confident that the tag can retreat, More willingness to stick to shooters because the rim is secure. On offense, the Stars' skip becomes more devastating since the help must respect the lob threat. Our Spain becomes less cute, more brutal. The hammer sets to the corner land because the paint just swallowed 2 defenders. The short clock doesn't feel like a panic button because a quick high drag still creates a decision for the defense. With the current group, our best version is surgical. Drive, kick, swing, touch the paint twice in a possession, and let our guards craft in the middle of the floor beat angles and whistles. It's a feast of reads and footwork, and when it's humming, it's basketball poetry. Both versions can win, but they win differently. There's also the human part that never shows up in a spreadsheet. The locker room trusts Reaves, and chemistry is currency you can't buy in February. There's a reason coaches keep him on the floor when it matters. He's a connector who also scores, a glue piece who can play as a star for 6 minutes, and a worker whose development is a message to everyone in the building. Move him! And you're not just reshaping the depth chart. You're telling the room you believe size and rim gravity will make everyone's job easier. Keep him. And you're telling the room you believe in mindshare and skill being king in the fourth. Either message can be right, but it has to be owned. I'm going to pull the sheet now because you've stayed with me through the whole build. The scenario under debate is Austin Reaves to the Detroit Pistons. With frameworks that center on Jalen Duren, or if that's a non-starter for Detroit, Isaiah Stewart plus Ron Holland II, and legitimate first-round capital. Detroit's logic is bird rights plus fit next to Cade and a fast forward on competence. Our logic, if we engage, is converting elite guard craft into front-court force without chaining ourselves to a second-apron dead end. And yes, the reason it refuses to die is simple. Reeves's market value is soaring on both film and numbers, and the CBA punishes teams that hold too many mid-to-top-tier deals without title-proof depth around them. That's not tabloid talk. That's the job. Before I land this, I want your voice in the build, because this channel writes with the community. Would you greenlight a deal if and only if Duren is included with a real first? Or do you keep Reaves unless the Pistons are willing to pay like they're buying a co-star, not just a guard? If the package is Stuart Holland, what pick protection is your line in the sand? Unprotected 2027, aggressive swaps, both. Which version of us do you trust more in a Game 5 on the road? Star plus vertical 5 and shooters, or star plus Reaves and 5 men's skill lines that squeeze you to death with reads? Drop it below with your cap angle and your rotation map and I'll build the next upload. No hedging, just tape and truth. My bottom line, clean, tight, and professional. The rumor has legs because it makes basketball sense on both sides, and the money trail under the CBA supports it. If Detroit pushes Duren and heavy draft ammo across the table, you can justify rebalancing the roster into a playoff-proof shape. If not, the best move is no move. Ride the two-man chemistry, keep the creation, and let the West try to untie a knot that gets tighter every week. Either way, we decide the identity, not the rumor mill. And that's how winning organizations move. If you're rocking with that, smash like, subscribe, ring the bell, and keep it here on Lakers News Fan Report because the second a phone call becomes a move, I'll be back with film, cap clarity, and exactly how it changes the chessboard.